You won't believe what Spielberg looks for in an actor, and it's not what you think. It's not fame, not versatility, not even technical brilliance. It's something deeper, quieter, rarer. He looks for gravity, that invisible pull that makes you lean in without realizing it. The kind of presence that doesn't shout to be heard, it just is. And when Spielberg finds it, it's like he doesn't need to direct. He just listens. Across 5 decades, Spielberg hasn't just told stories. He's shaped the emotional language of cinema. He's made aliens feel human, made history personal, made fantasy feel like memory. But behind all the special effects and orchestral swells is one consistent thread: an actor at the center. Someone he trusts. Someone who grounds the chaos. He doesn't chase stars. He doesn't gamble on hype. He watches. He waits. And when he finds the one, he never lets go. Let's walk through the 6 actors Spielberg has kept closest. The ones who didn't just impress him, they changed him. First, Tom Hanks. Some directors discover actors. Spielberg found a creative twin. They've made 5 films together, from Saving Private Ryan to The Post. And every single one taps into something uniquely human. Or grief, integrity, loneliness, hope. The roles are different, but the anchor is always the same: Hanks. Their relationship isn't flashy. There are no big declarations. No behind-the-scenes drama. Just quiet, professional trust. Hanks once said, "When Steven calls, I don't ask what it is. I just say yes." And he means it. On the set of Saving Private Ryan, Spielberg reportedly gave almost no direction. Just a nod. A whisper. He knew Hanks would find the moment. And he did. Over and over. What makes Hanks so essential to Spielberg isn't just talent. It's empathy. Stillness. The invisible work that holds a scene in place. He doesn't steal the spotlight, he grounds it. And Spielberg, in return, gives him something actors dream of: legacy. Not collaboration. Fusion. Their work isn't loud. It's foundational. And it started the first time they met, and never stopped. Next up, the one-time collaborator who changed everything: Daniel Day-Lewis. When Spielberg cast him as Abraham Lincoln, it wasn't casting. It was invocation. Daniel didn't rehearse. He didn't warm up. He became the president. Spielberg would later say, "He gave me the gift of time travel." 4 moments on set, he forgot they were making a movie. That's how complete the transformation was. No rants. No Oscar bait speeches. Just tension. Breath. A man weighed down by history. Spielberg didn't call him Daniel on set. He called him Mr. President, even between takes. Not out of pretension but respect. Reverence. Day-Lewis had turned Spielberg down before. It took years for Spielberg to convince him. But when he said yes, the result was seismic. Lincoln became one of Spielberg's most respected films. And Day-Lewis walked away with another Oscar. But Spielberg didn't gloat. In interviews he said, "I didn't direct him. I just witnessed him." That kind of humility from Spielberg? That's rare. They never worked together again. Not out of conflict, but because lightning like that doesn't strike twice. It doesn't need to. Then we have the man who helped define Spielberg's blockbuster era. Harrison Ford. Indiana Jones. That name alone carries history. But for Spielberg, Ford wasn't just a leading man, he was a partner. Someone who could take a punch, throw a punch, crack a line, and somehow still feel real. Their collaboration began with a hat, a whip, and a smirk. But it grew into something deeper. Decades of mutual respect. Spielberg once said, "Harrison brings confidence into a room. And when the camera rolls, that confidence becomes myth." Ford already had Star Wars under his belt. But Spielberg saw something else: grit, humor, humanity. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, Ford got hurt. He bled. He got up. Over and over. He insisted on doing his own stunts. Told Spielberg, "If I get hurt, you'll know it was worth it." That kind of dedication isn't about bravado. It's about belief. Ford doesn't chase the spotlight. He doesn't play Hollywood games. He shows up, does the work, and leaves. Spielberg says Ford gives him authenticity on demand. He doesn't need rehearsals. He needs presence. And when he's in the frame, it doesn't matter what else is happening. You watch him. Because he's real. Always. And now, a surprise to many: Leonardo DiCaprio. They've only made one film together, Catch Me If You Can. But that single performance redefined Leo's entire career. Coming off Titanic, the world saw a heartthrob. Spielberg saw something else: precision, stillness, control. Leo's character, Frank Abagnale, was a charming fraudster. But underneath the slick exterior, a scared, broken kid. And Spielberg let that show. He didn't ask for charm. He asked for truth. And Leo delivered. Spielberg later said Leo had a clock inside him. His timing was surgical. No guessing. Just landing. Perfectly. Even as the youngest actor on set, DiCaprio never got rattled. He studied scenes like maps. Asked questions others wouldn't. He wanted to understand everything, not to impress anyone but to earn it. Rumors of future projects came and went. A Howard Hughes film, a courtroom drama, but the timing never worked. Still, Spielberg hasn't stopped praising him. He even called Leo's Revenant performance devastating. He's one of the few young actors Spielberg still talks about like unfinished business. One film, infinite potential. And then, Meryl Streep. It took Spielberg 4 decades to finally direct her. But when he did, in the post, it was like watching an orchestra with a single instrument, and that instrument was perfect. Meryl played publisher Katharine Graham, stepping into the role with a mix of steel and silence. She didn't dominate the frame, she melted into it. Every glance mattered. Every pause had weight. Spielberg admitted he was nervous directing her, something he'd never said about anyone else. But the performance? Quietly astonishing. She didn't need to be told what to do. She felt the rhythm. Her instincts were flawless. Spielberg called her essential to cinema. Compared her to Day-Lewis, not for theatrics but for the way she listens. The way she breathes. One film. That's all it took. And he said he'd work with her again in a heartbeat. And finally the wild card. The spark. The soul. Robin Williams. When they made Hook, Spielberg was in one of the toughest moments of his career. The shoot was chaotic. The schedule was a mess. Spielberg, who thrives on control, felt like the whole thing was slipping. Robin noticed. And every single night after shooting he'd call Spielberg. Not to run lines. Not to vent. Just to make him laugh. 15 minutes of off-the-cuff improv. Just to lift the weight. That's the kind of person Robin was. He saw people. And when he played Peter Pan he brought something new, pain. The ache of forgotten youth. The weight of adult sorrow. Spielberg saw it and he never forgot. Hook wasn't perfect. But Robin's heart made it matter. Their friendship lasted for years. And when Robin passed away, Spielberg paused production on Schindler's List. He said the room just felt dimmer. Robin was never directed by Spielberg again. But he didn't need to be. Once was enough. Because some performances don't end with the credits. They echo. So here's the truth. Spielberg doesn't cast for hype. He cast for resonance. For connection. For trust. Whether it's 5 films or just one, the actors he never forgets are the ones who gave him something more than performance. They gave him reflection. In their silence he found tension. In their breath he found rhythm. These aren't just collaborations. They're cornerstones. You can feel their presence in every frame he shoots. Because Spielberg doesn't just remember them, he builds with them. Scene by scene. Story by story. So now I've got to ask you, who's your favorite? Was it Hanks the Rock? Day-Lewis the Time Traveler? Ford the Myth? DiCaprio the Scalpel? Streep the Symphony? Or Robin the Lightning in the Bottle? Let me know in the comments. I read every one. And hey, if this pulled you in, do me a favor, like the video, hit subscribe and stick around. Because this is just the beginning of what happens when cinema's biggest names reveal their truest selves. Until next time, keep watching closely. The good stuff's always just beneath the surface.